Hello and welcome to video 2 in my C# Windows programming video series. Today's lesson covers using controls to create a rich graphical user interface. And in simple man terms, that means using buttons and things like text boxes to interact with the user. This is the fun part. This is design, where you design your software. The easy part. The real work, of course, comes in here in the code view. But we won't be diving too far into code until later on. So let's stay in designer view for now. Okay, what I've done is I've added a button and a combo box to my form. Now, I didn't cover this in the first tutorial, but there's a couple of different ways to add a control to a form. The first way is to click, hold, and drag. You can click and drag it like this, instantly customize it, or you can double click it. Okay? Alright, so when you first, let me go ahead and delete this. When you first add a button to a form, you'll notice it has its properties over here. Each control has a set of properties that you can manipulate or change. Okay, so let's, just by dragging these handles, you're already changing a control's property. You're changing the size property. If you click and drag it around, you're changing its location property. Let's go ahead and I'll describe the properties window. It's fairly simple. Left column, you have a property. Right column, you have that property's value. Currently, the text property is equal to button 1. Let's change that to OK. Fairly simple. Same way with font color, the image. It all works basically the same. But often you'll want to, that's one way to change a property. Well, I'll go ahead and do it with another control. Let's add a text box, for example. Let's take a look at the visible property. It's set to true. I'll also notice this. If you have no idea what a property is, you can click on it and it will give you a description down here. This determines whether the control is visible. Let's go ahead and set that to false right now. That's again, we changed a property in the properties window. But there are going to be times that you want to change a property during runtime. There's going to be a lot of times you want to do that, actually. Say you had, your form was titled YouTube Grabber or YouTube Downloader, and you wanted to, the user clicks a button and it downloads a video. Well, while the video is downloading, you want to inform the user that it's downloading, so they're not just wondering if it's hanging or actually downloading. So then you might want to change, if the text here on the form is set to YouTube Downloader, you might want to change it to YouTube Downloader and then in parentheses, currently downloading, please stand by. Something like that. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. Double click the form and that takes us to code view. I already have some code here as an example, but I'll go ahead and rewrite it so you can see the advantages of IntelliSense. So let's access our button 1 object, button 1 control, button 1. Now click the dot key. You'll notice IntelliSense brings up a list of properties, which are defined by these icons, identified by these icons. Okay, so let's double click the text property because that's what we want to change, and we're going to set it equal to not OK. Okay, and we're doing this, keep in mind, upon the form 1 load object, which basically means this code will be executed when form 1 loads, when the program loads. So even though we have set this equal to OK here, it is set to not OK when the form loads. So let's see which the compiler accepts. Of course, it sets it to not OK because we told it to. So that's how to change a property in code view. That's basically it on properties, the basics. Properties of a controller is very simple, and let's see. Let's look here at a text box. Oh, yeah. Okay. If you remember, we set this text box visible property to false. Okay. So let's double click the button, and let's say when the button is clicked, we want to set it back to visible. So let's type text box 1 dot, and once again IntelliSense, visible property equals true. Sorry, it should be lowercase. C# is case sensitive. Always remember that. A semicolon, and what do you think's going to happen? Of course, it's visible now. Okay? So that's how to change a control's properties.